are in the beta state. We're alert.
You think I am?
Yeah, yeah. I hope we are. We're alert, and we're using our reason and our logic, and we're conversing. The alpha state, that's the state you get in when you're more relaxed, and you're breathing slower, and your attention is really focused. A lot of times people think that when you're in a relaxed state or when you're going into hypnosis that you're actually clearing your mind. And it's really quite the opposite. You're actually really focusing your attention when you're in this state. You're in alpha state when you're immersed in a good book.
Oh, okay.
If you've probably read a book where you've been so immersed in the story.
You lose track of time. And
yes. When you look up and you look at the clock, you're like, where did the time go?
Right.
You may not even be aware of your surroundings while you're doing the reading. That's all alpha state.
Okay.
And that's the state that we use in hypnosis. When you're in that state, you're actually 200 times more suggestible. Or I should say the subconscious is 200 times more suggestible when you're in that very relaxed state. And then there's also delta and theta, which are even deeper levels, but we don't really work with that for the purposes of habit control or quitting smoking or weight loss, things like that. So I really, as a hypnotist, it's my job to guide people into that state. And that can be done in a lot of different ways. There's direct command, direct suggestions that we give in hypnosis, where we may say very directly to someone who, say they want to lose weight and they want to exercise more. I might make a direct suggestion while they're in this deep, relaxed state that you will jog 3 miles each day. That's a very direct statement to make.
That's a clear goal.
Yes. But the subconscious likes metaphor and it likes imagery. So often what we do in hypnosis is we say something more indirect to the client. We'll say something like, you enjoy taking your jog through the neighborhood each morning. You enjoy that time alone as you jog 3 miles. It's less direct. It implies that they're already going to do it. And it gives the client a chance to use their imagination. As you're speaking that indirect command, they're using their imagination and actually picturing themselves.
Kind of visualizing it.
Right. And if they can picture it, they can do it. And being in this state of hypnosis where they're 200 times more suggestible, because they're imagining it, they're more likely to do it than they would otherwise without the hypnosis.
I see. So in a little bit, it's like when they talk with athletes about visualizing their success and how they're going to run, but that's using the more conscious mind. You know, so that when you're in the alpha state and you're doing that, it's even more powerful.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's really the job of the hypnotist to really engage the imagination of the client so that they can really visualize in all the detail.
Feel it in their body.
Exactly. All the changes they have to make. Feeling it in their body, picturing it visually, sometimes even imagining sounds or smells or tastes, depending what exactly it is that we're working on. The more senses we can include in that, the more effective that it becomes. So it really does, it comes right down to using the imagination.
Okay. Is there something you can show me about how that works?
Sure. Just to show how powerful your own imagination is. What I'll have you do is just sit in the chair. I'm going to have you put your hands out in front of you, just like this. And take a look at the back of your hands. Just when you have a good look, I'm going to have you close your eyes. Good. And I'm just going to have you picture in your mind the back of your hands that you just looked at. And can you sort of see that in your imagination? Good. And now what I'm going to have you do, just sort of play with your imagination a little bit. I'm going to have you imagine that I'm tying a a heavy phone book to your left hand.
Oh, my. Okay.
Okay, imagine I've got the Hartford phone book and I've tied some twine around it.
Okay.
And now I'm attaching that twine to your left wrist.
Okay.
And you can just feel how heavy that left wrist is with that phone book attached. And you might even notice that you notice some muscle tension in that left arm. And then at the same time, I'm going to have you imagine your right wrist having a large helium balloon attached to it. And that right wrist feels so much different. It's lighter, it's freer. You might even, in your imagination, just notice the feeling of a little tug as that balloon raises that right hand up. The right hand has a tendency to just want to float and drift. And that left hand, of course, has the phone book attached, and it's just getting heavier and heavier. And now, before you open your eyes, I'm going to have you just freeze your hands in the position that they're in. Don't move them. And then open your eyes.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you see that?
Wow.
And that's the power of your imagination.
Can I
you don't really.
can I
you can
unfreeze
move them.
them?
You can unfreeze them.
But wow, that's like 8 inches a foot almost.
Yeah. And there's no phone book tied to your wrist, and there's no balloon tied to your other
Wow.
wrist.
Michelle, that's
That was your
cool.
imagination. Your imagination causes that to happen.
Oh, wow.
So that's the power of the subconscious mind, and that's basically, that's obviously a very simplistic form of hypnosis, but that's basically how it works.
Wow. And I had no idea when I was sitting there that my hands were doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that change at all.
Yeah, it feels very natural. There's nothing really mysterious about hypnosis.
right.
It's a very natural state. We go in and out of it all throughout the day.
Interesting.
You go into hypnosis when you're reading a book or driving or just anything where your attention is really focused.
Focus. You know, that's what I was going to ask you when you were talking about the fact that you go into the alpha state when you're reading and you go off to these different places in your head. You're
Yes.
in your imagination, you're right where the book is. And I was thinking about the power of that, and I guess how we must really like that, because we like to read and we like to get into those places.
Yeah, and it's just so
It's very
relaxing.
comfortable.
It
Yes,
is.
yes.
It's very relaxing. And it's the state that you pass through that alpha state before you fall asleep at night. So it's very peaceful and natural. You know, some people are a little fearful of hypnosis, thinking that they'll be under my control or something. And it's not. Because it's a natural state, all hypnosis is really self-hypnosis. It's just my job as the hypnotist to help guide you to that place, to help you relax, and to give you images that your imagination can play with and bring you into that place where we can, start changing habits.
Right.
But
right.
really, the client, the hypnosis client, actually brings themselves into that place on their own. It's a very natural place to be.
So, if I were interested in having more experiences like that, how would that work?
Well, people can visit hypnotists for a number of things. They can, if they're interested in setting some goals. A lot of people go to hypnotists to quit smoking and lose weight. Those are probably the two most popular uses of hypnosis.
Or to fly somewhere.
Or to fly somewhere. But people can also use hypnosis in a lot of other ways as well to help them with meditation, or some people use hypnosis sort of as a spiritual mechanism as well. So
it has a lot of different applications.
It does. It can be, very clinical, and it can also just be, used for self-growth and that sort of thing.
Pretty diverse.
Yeah. So I would encourage people to, explore hypnosis if they're interested in things like that, and self-growth of the mind and the power of positive thinking and those sorts of things.
Okay. Well, Michelle, thank you very much. This has been very interesting.
Well,
I have
thank
to
you.
think about this here a little. And thank you all very much for watching this show, the presentation of ABCs of Education with Michelle Russo. And if you have any comments or suggestions, you can email them. Again, the email address is theabced@yahoo.com. I hope you've enjoyed watching this special presentation, and thank you for watching.